Uh, the subject that we're going to deal with today is a multifaceted subject, but one of the main title is forecasting accuracy. That means if we go back over the periods of years, we'll say if we did 20 years ago, we was talking about certain subjects 20 years ago. And those subjects related to how we was going to deal with the system and what we were dealing with the system. And so we can review and we can see, well, how accurate were we? If we talked about certain subjects at that time, how accurate were we, And remember, that's the normal part of strategic management. Strategic management just means that, first of all, you have to scan your environment, get a view of how things are with you, your environment, and they call it in management books and they call it scanning your environment. So then after you scan your environment, then you come up with a plan or a program or a platform because you have come up with and scanning your environment, where your environment is, where the people are, what do they respond to, how do they respond to it. So scanning your environment really means that you kind of investigate and you study your environment, that your people, where they are, what they're up to, and what have you. And so we always talked about the certain subjects over 20 years ago, like we talked about an air war at that time. An air war meant that we was going psychological. We were flying over the area and we're going to be dropping heavy bombs. And it's an air war, not a person-to-person struggle that we're going to deal with. And we did that. And so we'll talk a little bit about those, the forecasting accuracy from that period. The other thing is we talked for several years about writing your own history. Okay, remember, if you have a situation where you didn't scan your environment, you didn't made a plan, right? And then you implement that plan. The third stage is implementation. Okay, many people come up with beautiful plans. Many generals come up with beautiful plans of war and defense and what have you. But then implementation, they fall down because some people can talk a real good game, but actually implementing that talk is a very few people can do it. And then review. You review what you have done, and then after you review what you have done, then you crank back up again. Well, this is several stages of monitoring our environment and planning and implementation, and then recycling what we've done. That's why we call this forecasting accuracy. What we want to do today is kind of review. Well, we want to do more than one thing. One thing we want to do is review our level of accuracy to see how accurate have we been. Okay. The other thing we want to do is what we've talked about many times is write the ideal future. See, after you scan your environment and you try to implement it and what have you, you gain a lot of knowledge about the system. You gain knowledge about yourself. You gain knowledge about your environment and the people who you're working with. And a lot of that stuff is redundancy. And it's so redundant that if you're skilled, that eventually you can domesticate your enemy. And we're going to talk about domestication a little bit, because we have domesticated, mean we have trained our enemy. We have trained, well, we wouldn't call it an enemy. We have trained the United States Intelligence Service to respond to us in a certain way, because we respond to them in a certain way. We always talk about longevity. Longevity gives you time and practice, time to practice redundancy, time to practice methods and what have you. I'll give you an example. When I was in Oakland some years ago, I would go up in the hills and run. And when I first came from here, I was getting up real early, like before sunrise, and before daybreak. So for a couple of weeks, what I would do is I would go to my running trail, and I've been running this trail for 50, 60, a long time. I've been running those trails since 1965. So I could almost run them blindfolded. So when I go out, it would still be dark. When I get up to the hills, it would be dark. It would still be dark. Before even the little bit of, if you get up at Fajr and pray, by the time you get to your spot, it's 45 minutes before daybreak. And according to the climate, everything, there's so much light and so much darkness. So I did it for several days. On the second day, here comes a guy on a bike with a light on it, On the third day, here come two guys running with miners' hats. Those miners' hats with those bright lights? Yeah. Okay, so it adds up to who they are, right? So by that time, I've been there a week, and I'm getting back into getting up a little bit later. So by the time I get out, I'm getting out almost at a normal time. I'm getting out when the daybreak is already coming and you could see where you're going. Okay, it was easy for me to figure out what was going on. Number one, on the second day, the first day when I went out, nobody there, nothing. Because nobody know where I'm going, and you couldn't be going and run, but you get out there. Nobody has time to come from way around that trail or this trail and then meet up with me, because I didn't hit them too early. But the second day, here comes a Euro on a bike with one of them bright lights on his bike. The third day, here come two Euros with miners, it's, the little bright light okay. All of that, to other people, it may not seem like nothing, but that's adding to my reservoir of knowledge and information about how they deal. And for me, it's normal. It's absolutely normal, Whether I did it at first to see how it was going to go, or whether I did it because I got there early. I'm 3 hours early out there, and I'm getting up, 3 hours early. And plus, I'm getting up for Fajr, and so by the time I go out to the trail, it's even taking your time, drinking coffee and all that, it's still an hour before daybreak, and it's dark. And I'm taking it easy because I know it's dark, because I know by the time I start coming back, it'll be light enough for me to see. But I've been on those trails for 60 years. Okay, 1965, whatever that means. I've been going on those trails. Well, I went on them every now and then before, but I've been going on them regularly since 1965. So you could do it in the dark. You know what I mean? You know all the ridges and everything, and you don't need hardly no light. The second day, here comes the white boy on a miner with a miner's light on his bike, like he's been out there riding around. Well, I've been going up there for years, and I hadn't seen nobody out there in the middle of the night riding around on bikes.
What year was this?
This was a few years ago. This was, take it back 5 years ago or something like that. 5, 6 years ago, somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Yeah, between.
I was wondering because I was like, yeah, no, that kind of lines up. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Oh, no, well, no, that actually.
Especially if you hadn't been on that trail in a while. And,
No, when I go out there, the first thing I do, soon as I go out there, you know, no matter whether I walk or what have you, I'm not gonna wait. I'm going out. That's a habit.
Right.
I'm going to them trails. I can walk and look at the birds if there's any, or I can do what I want, but I'm getting out there. And I'm gonna get out there now a minimum of 5 days a week. It used to be 6 days a week minimum, and technically it would be 7. I went out there every day, but you give it 6 days. But I'm going out there. I'm telling you, the first day, no action. The second day, here come a white boy on a bike, and it's pitch black with his miner's light on his bike. And the next morning, there's 2 white men running together with their miner's light on, you know. Yeah, and they're running. What I'm saying is that we're accustomed to many things, and we're monitoring what we're doing. Whether we do something on purpose to get that result, or whether we do it out of habit, we did it. And when we did it, they did something. You see what I mean? And this has been going on with specificity since 1986, and before that it was still, you know, kind of hooked up. But when we wrote that they stole our accordion folder and they did this, stole stuff, okay, that means that now at that time, I was really upset about that, because they're bothering me. They don't have a right to do that. That's the way you would do it in those days, I mean. And also they got my records, stuff I wrote, just like all this stuff. I keep all this stuff, even if whatever type of notes. I got folders, I stick them in. Okay, I've been doing that all along. Okay, that means that they got all of that stuff. So that's fine. So what do we have to do? Now we're going to keep notes similar but different. They're not going to be able to them, if they read those same notes that they have now, because they read them from either the camera or somebody, you know, they come in when I'm gone, whatever, they're going to read them. They're going to read them at my house, they're going to read them there. They've been reading them. So now, in studying, this thing about redundancy, right? They could read my page and not see any different from the regular pattern, the old pattern. But for me, it's altered 5%. So I write my regular notes that I would write. Early rise, probably on every page it says, early rise, get up early, da 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 da. And I still put them on my stuff right now. Why? Because we're in a new stage, and I have to get up early and stay up early. You know, like for instance, you get up and pray, then you go back to sleep. No. We're not going to do that right now. Why? We're in a different period. And I don't care. I just write it every day. Eventually, I'm going to stay up. It's such a habit. I don't have to. You got to stand in front of the mirror. You got to stay up and do this and do that. I don't have to do that. I write it a few times and I do it. And I'll get to why. It's redundancy, but it's also domestication. Domestication means that I have the ability to train the people, them. Okay? And as the years go on, I can study them and see how well the training has been going. Like if you train a dog or something, you throw a biscuit up to see if he jump up and get it. If he don't jump up and get it, you need some more training. Okay. Not that I'm going to go over all the monitoring systems, but I can monitor Boss Man right now, and it's not new. This has been going on. Because in 1986, when they did what they did with my sons and what they did with me, that shows the door is closed on this friendship and this easygoing stuff, and they got you locked down. They got their eye on you 100%, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right? They got people monitoring you. They got people that their job is to come and sit in the masjid, and we had a table there, and to sit at that table all day long to monitor you. So one of the guys, I just started playing with him. I started ordering a lot of them bean pies, blueberry cheese, pineapple cheese pies, and those boys are just, and I was just doing it to him. And he would go in the refrigerator and eat the pies, and he swole up. I was just doing it just to swell him up. Yeah, he was sitting there watching and pretending to be Shia. And I remember when he came there from back this way with the little white girl he had, and what have you. And they'd walk up and down the street, and pretty soon they stay. And then, okay. You have so much that you can use, right? As an individual. And Allah give you that. You give it to everybody, but everybody don't have the hopefulness. Most people will give up. Almost, I ain't gonna say, most people, when they see they're dealing with boss man naked, right? They almost give up, or they slow down to the point that where, well, we slow down too, but it's fool's boss man. He think we're slowing down to quit or we done got old. No. We're coming out of a slowdown period, but a slowdown period is just like in crime. You need a rest. You need to clarify and look at things. White people take vacations, right? They take vacations to look at life. We don't do that. We do it for this. Okay, the title today is Forecasting Accuracy. And there are simple things in this forecasting of accuracy. I may skip around a little bit, but did anybody see Don last night?
I didn't watch.
Okay. I didn't watch the whole thing, but Don rolled on the TV, and you talking about regurgitating insanity and foolishness and fitna. That's what he did. Wasn't new to us. Think about accuracy. Must have been 6 years ago when Don was going through this thing on the TV with all the other white folks, and he was calling Ted Cruz Crooked Ted, and he was calling Bush down there, he was calling him Low Energy Bush, you know what I mean, and all them names. Okay, he was getting free publicity. He didn't have to spend nothing on publicity. So you can see something is going on. Okay, now you got to remember, last night I just happened to watch him. I didn't watch it all. I just watched enough to get the trend. So, but we said right away, try to remember what we said. We said somebody hired him to destroy, first we said the Republican Party. Then we waited a while and we said somebody hired him to destroy America, the whole show. Right? I mean, we did say that. Okay. Today's subject is forecasting accuracy. We don't want to go over everything, we don't have ability, that we forecasted, but the things that mean something right now, okay, we can see it on the TV, okay. There's certain things that's going on right now that are just detrimental to the global situation. Now here come Don. Also, I watched a little bit of CNN. They had one of the black policemen that was on duty down at the Capitol, you know, the Capitol Police. They had another one that was a sergeant. He was a Capitol Police. But he was so shook up. This is the first interview he gave, and he had to give it because what he was hearing was so, you know, it was making him so upset. And you could tell he had light PTSD. You could tell he was either pretending very well because you know, that's the way he was playing it. Whatever he was playing it, both of those, and the interviewer was trying to prepare for what Donald Trump was going to say that night, which they didn't do properly, but it was no difference. I watched it anyway. What was the police saying? We were abandoned. The president's job is to support the system, and our job is to support him and to protect him, and on and on and on. And the Congress, and they was mad because they had something going before the Congress the last couple of days, and the Republicans backed up on them. And these are the police. Now remember, the way they looking at it, a couple of police committed suicide, right? And one of them was killed down there. Now you got to imagine them, the police, first. They're honored to be up there on the Capitol and to protect the Congress and protect America because it works. Right? So technically they're not the police driving up and down the street. They're going to run into Congressman so-and-so, Senator so-and-so every day. They're going to learn they're going to learn, hey, how's your kids today, Jimmy? How's your daughter? How's their education? Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
They automatically, he's standing right by his door all the time. He sees them all day. And he's not equal to a congressman or senator, but he's protecting him. He's in the family. He's in the Capitol Hill family. Right? Now, what happens when the people in the Capitol Hill family, their leader, Don, call the other white folks and tell them, you come here and you tear this thing down. in everything that they're trying to, and when you look at the film, they was really giving them police trouble. And them guys, if you don't tussle a long time, if you train for a fight, you can tussle many rounds. But if you're not trained, that after about 2 minutes, you're tired. With all that breathing stuff on too, you're tired. Try to fight for 2 minutes. Try to fight 1 3-minute round. See what happens. Snot is gonna be coming out of your nose. Just one round without training for it, right? That ain't no joke. Like right now, I'll be back on the bag, but I haven't been on the bag in a month. I've been running, I've been enjoying everything. But when I get back on that bag, shoot, snot gonna be running out of my, I know what to do. I'm gonna ease on up, and next day a little bit more, a little bit. So after about a week, I can do what I wanted, maybe 2 weeks. Look what they did to those people. You should have heard them on TV. They were exasperated. They were really, they couldn't understand how the leader of the free world would have white folks come in packing pistols. And I just happened I took my daughter to the hospital for a little appointment, and we saw them white folks coming that day. When she came out, she said, let's go down. I said, I'm not going down there. We went way around the freeway. I said, did you see them? They said, yeah. You could see all of them was packing. You could see right under here, okay. I want you to understand what that looks like to the people who actually love America. Their capital being assaulted. And the police departments, how do they see their guards, the people like them, the men in blue, the honored job? They're not being protected. In fact, the one that's calling them is calling them to say, come on down and just act a fool. And they come and act a fool. And then they put a bill in there to charge Trump. And all of the old Republican senators were saying, yeah, this, that, and other, and then walk right in there and say we're against that bill and walk right out and say we're for it. But when they're in the vote, that's what they did just the day before yesterday. They just did that. And the guards are just, they ain't playing. They foaming at the mouth. And you could imagine now not only the disappointment about America, but remember, their brother, their cousin, one of the guys, the sergeant, he's over in Iraq. He went over to Iraq, he came back. So I don't think he playing about this, what do they call it? Shell shocked, huh? PTSD. He ain't playing. You can see it in his eyes and when he's talking. And the Negro is super mad. And remember, they done lost some of their people. And they said, I want you to just imagine the last couple of days. You could look at it on your news when you go back. This is Sunday, they review all of that. I want you to just review how not only America, the leader of the free world, their capital being attacked by other Americans. And military personnel. Military personnel. It don't make no difference how this happened, what happened, but that incident alone, and it not being dealt with properly, right? I want you to just think about how that affects the impression of America on the outside, right? I want you to think about what it does to America on the inside. And remember, those people that were either killed, one of them committed suicide, something like that, I don't know. This is what they say. Can you imagine the esprit de corps, or the feeling of the group that they might have down there? Their morale is in the basement. And the other people, their friends and their family, or their supporters, their morale is in the basement too. Donald Trump yesterday gives a speech, the same one he's been giving all the time. The vote is illegal and they did this and they did that. The man is crazy, right? And he's got enough people with him that they do the same cheering when he says hit on something like that. Now, you got to remember, we said Donald Trump is here to first destroy the Republican Party, number two, to destroy America. I want to now, with that in mind, deal with the Thucydides trap. That means when an empire is coming up, another one is going down, and they face a challenge. I want you to remember some of the things that you've heard. Number one, China has 95% of the people support the Chinese government and what it's doing. Yeah, I mean, they do. And not only that, can you imagine within 10 or 15 years, they brought 800 million people out of poverty into what they would call their middle class, and then they just went back and they say they done brought the last batch out of extreme poverty. That means if you were super poor and you now kind of poor, you just happy with that. You know what I mean? Because you done moved up. And you got a promise and you got a system that's making things better for you. And so how you going to get 95? That sounds like one of them elections that they have in the Congo or something, where 95% of the people voted for the dictator, right? Those are, can you imagine? 95%. What about America? America is in a state of psychological civil war because they have so many millions of people that's for Trump. And they got 80 million people on the other side. When you get numbers like that, you're in trouble. And his meeting last night proved. So technically, there's no need for Thucydides trap, but they have it. Why? Because they're challenging China, and they started it. You know, yeah, you got to straighten up, and they talk that. And the Chinese said, you got people laying in the street, you're killing them by the boatload. You know, worse than anywhere in your history, and you telling us that we got to straighten up something? You're technically crazy. What's wrong with you? Not only the Chinese are saying, but so does everybody else. It's what? Right? So they got the Thucydides trap going on that they helped devise. They're the ones that cooked that up. Did nobody else? It's not something that's a big, something the Russians did or the Afghans did. All of that they did. And credibility, they say, well, the Chinese are doing this to their people. And, you know, there's no Muslim country in the world that says China, just look at the statistics, is doing what they're saying. Most of them cooperate with China. Most of them cooperate. I mean, Arab governments, Muslim governments, they cooperate with China. So evidently, whatever they're saying over here that's going on is not really happening. Or it's 2 or 5% oppression, which they get, if we get 40% oppression or 80%, I don't know, whichever, and they get 5 or 2%, well, what's the big deal? Okay, I'm gonna try to keep moving here. So, Thucydides' trap is a natural phenomenon. But the United States then chose to fight China at a time when China got Belt and Road going, this going on, that going on, and it's on the ascendancy. And Chinese lowered their prices so they could sell to America. The ships are still coming from overseas right today. They was talking about the port in San Pedro, that's in LA. They said the ships are coming over and unloading and going back empty. What does that mean? No export. That means the United States is going into more and more debt to China, and everybody else is producing over there and sending it over here, right? So that means the United States, if you just took that one thing, that's enough to break the bank. We don't know when the dollar is going to collapse, but it's just when. We didn't know when the Roman currency would collapse, but the British pound used to be $5 when the British pound was the main global currency, because the British Empire everywhere. It used to be $5. And now it's $1 something, you know, almost nothing. Pretty soon it'll be $1, the British pound. Okay. The Thucydides trap. The second thing we want to talk about America is floods, fires, desertification, plastics in the ocean, and all of that stuff. And they always show the big turtle, they had to pull a straw out of I don't know if, you know, just a regular straw. Them big turtles, they get in their phosphorus. And it's everywhere. The rivers are just pushing sludge out into okay, if it's a little bit, it's salty, it'll clean it up. It'll eventually wash up on the sand, and the sand will clean. You know, sand always clean. And it'll clean pretty soon, be white sandy beaches. But now the sludge going into it's like the people that are trying to bathe in the Ganges, you know, to get clean. I don't know if anybody has seen the Ganges. Good God Almighty. Yes. If you think the rivers look bad here, you could smell the Ganges running through India. With just imagine now, all them millions of people, now it's 1 billion point so, half of their trenches along the Ganges are leading into the river. So when it rains, which it does in India all the time, or it's dry, the overflow goes into the river, and all the plastic and all the garbage and all the thing. When you look at the side of the river, it just looks unbelievable.
It's so bad you can actually walk on water. That's how bad the
Can you imagine?
And they showed it because a lady has figured out how to take that plastic and she's creating bricks.
Right.
So she's happy. I mean, she's not happy, but she's invented a brick that's stronger than concrete because of the plastic that she's seen on the web.
Okay.
That's how bad.
That could help them. They could. There should be big strainers on all the rivers, the Amazon and all of them, that go into the ocean or go into the bays and what have you, to clean that stuff up. Maybe if they did all the new building with plastic, that'd be a great idea. Yeah, mix it up with a strengthener and no more building with bricks. Leave that stuff in the dirt wherever you get the bricks, right? And now build with plastic. Build all new homes. Make bricks. Big bricks out of plastic. Okay, that would be fine. But they're not doing that right now. The plastic is going into the water. The animals, or the fish of the sea and all of that, it's being destroyed. The earth, the water in the earth regulates the temperature just like water in your body, you know what I mean? You got enough in there and it regulates things, right? If you ain't got enough in there, it's going to be pretty bad for you. Floods. One part of the earth is having floods of biblical proportions. That's the way they use it in the language. That means floods back in the old days. It used to just drown everything out. And poor California. It's not just California, it's other parts of the world. In India, they're having serious droughts now. And the parts that have a little droughts, and it just moves over where they already had them huge floods every year. Now they're having super floods. In other words, imbalance. We'll get back to the point in a minute. So remember, we got the Thucydides trap. When somebody's going down, somebody's coming up. Probably now with weaponry the way it is, it may not be a fight, but the one that was going down was the one starting the problem with the one coming up. And everybody in the world, okay, so the British may join America and all that, but they already know that's for racial and economic reasons. We're going to get a better deal if we go with the Americans. That could be the Australians, that could be all of the New Zealanders, it could be everybody. We got a Western bloc. If we blow it, you see what they're going to do. Okay, so they can sell that a little bit right now. It's still not flying. It's not flying too big. Okay, let me speed up. Floods, fires, desert, plastic, military-industrial complex. I remember when I didn't know nothing about the military-industrial complex. The professor, this is what we call the professor. The professor had been in Africa for years before us, and his mother was part of the Garvey movement because he'd always say, Mama, when she come here, all. So he was telling me about the military-industrial complex. He said, you hear what Eisenhower said. In fact, I looked it up, and it was a speech Eisenhower gave in January 1960, I guess it was, 61, just when he's leaving the presidency. He said, beware of the military-industrial complex. Now that was then. That means, see, before, when you had before the Civil War, there was a small army and da-da-da-da. After the Civil War, they got rid of everybody, except the people want to come out here and fight Indians, right? So the army would get small. After World War I, they bring in a big army, then everybody go home, mind your own business. Small army. After World War II, they saw how much money they could make by maintaining a so-called Cold War, maintaining a permanent enemy, right, that you have to have an arms race with. So that means all of those people, you don't muster out and have an army of 150,000 men. You keep millions and millions. You got to pay their salary. You got to do this. You got to do that. And also the other agencies of the government, the spy agencies, they don't work for the people. They work for that part of the government that pays them, which is the military-industrial complex. So all of the agencies, the spy agencies, what they used to call that, what's the name, developed long, Peace Corps, all of them, right, all of them. Government pay them, government regulate it, right? And the spy agencies destroy governments all over the world, and they do all of what they do, and they keep spending all the money in America goes to the military-industrial complex. It was all right in the 50s when everybody had a job, even the early part of the 60s. But now, can you imagine? I just want you to think about America. I was talking about it in Kutpa the other day. There was a time in America when they had housewives, mothers, they didn't work, especially white women, they didn't work. They lived better than they do now, and they didn't work. And they had housewives. And they all drove new cars, and the father could send the kids to college. He could buy a 3 or 4 bedroom house, and I mean, they called it the golden 50s. It was just one of those periods where America was rolling. American money, American know-how. America had won World War II. Everything was going America's way. They kept the lifestyle of the government agencies, although the people have degenerated so far now that they have to have 2 jobs to make half of what they made before. And they're talking about China, right? The American people are so oppressed, right? They're more oppressed, and the anxiety, the disbelief in what they're seeing. So technically, the government have become the savior of the people. It's become the enemy of the people. And what's cool about it is the people know it. Okay. All right. Let me go on here. Okay, middle class gone. Race relations. Well, we already see all of that. But the race relations will show why we're doing certain things that we do. Okay, there's certain things as helplessness and hopelessness. Helplessness is when you just say, hey man, I can't do nothing about it. Hopelessness is almost the same thing. Ain't no hope, I just can't do nothing about it. Then is what we have. We're not going to become helpless nor hopeless. No matter what the system thinks, or no matter what game we play along the way. again, let's talk about the predictions rate for us. How often have we been able to predict the trends in society? I wanted you to think about managed evolution. When you think about managed evolution, don't think about them, think about us. Managed evolution, that we're still here and we have evolved over all of these. Okay, so let's say 50 years. Okay, that's in human terms, that's a while. In human terms, that is a long time. If you look at our stuff back in the 80s, when we talk about prediction rate, go back and, well, we do have those lectures from those times. They're on cassette and all that stuff, but they're still there. The predictions are the same now that they was then, except there's been a period of managed evolution. We have evolved over all of that period of time. We have evolved. Okay, now what about Boss Man? Has he evolved? No. If we could live a long time, technically we wouldn't have to do nothing. Just keep moving, creeping ahead a little bit at a snail's pace, and let Boss Man keep degrading at an astronomical rate. Remember, America was headed down. When Don comes in, he ignites all of the systems that that shatter us, that he divides the people. That's Civil War stuff. Look at what he's got, let's say 50-50. It's more like 55 or 60-40. That's Civil War stuff. And he ain't quieting down. And he's rolling like, I don't care, right? And he's got crackpot people that there's no reason to believe in anything he says. It don't make no sense. It don't make no difference. They with the dummy. I watched them yesterday. I said, good. Not good. But I'll get to the point, what we got to do, we got to protect ourselves in this period. Because, when this stuff gets hot, you can't count on classical consciousness, the human nature of the human being, and moves toward da-da-da-da. No. When things go into panic mode, they go down fast. And people, your next door neighbor, that was your friend for 30 years. If it's only 2 carats left in the region, he got a family and you got a family. Who do you think he's gonna get those 3 carats and share 1.5 for you, 1.5 for me and my family? It's possible but it's not likely. See, how many people are really like where we are now? See, when you read history all the time, and that's all you read, you can smell this stuff. Don't hold it. I don't know what the TV is doing to people, but they know stuff is bad. But they're cruising right along. That's dangerous. It's dangerous for them. But I say, dear believers, let's not get caught up in that danger. the programs we've been outlining for ourselves over the last few weeks are basically the only rational road that we could take during this period that makes sense, right? Okay, things are getting, you don't know when that day is come. With stuff like it is, you don't know when it's going to happen, right? Look how fast Don came in there, acted the food, and destroyed America. He didn't destroy it, it was already headed down, but he pulled one of the main pins that was holding America together, that American love for America, which they was losing fast. Oh my goodness. That's, oh my goodness, exceptionalism, good God Almighty. And it's been going on a long time. What did Obama say over a decade ago? We're still number one. You remember him saying that? We're still number one. Shh. Hey, in what? In chaos, in fitna. Okay, now, not to be an alarmist, but living up next to boss man for all these years, we don't know what could go. So we have to join up to protect ourselves. And we have to kind of hurry up. This is totally different than we talked about the long range and da-da-da-da-da-da. It don't taste like that now. It don't taste like, you know what I mean? When you get a taste, you know what I mean? When you get a historical taste, that's what we have now. We have a historical taste with everything that we have been involved in recent decades. And they've all been, I'm not going to say right. We was talking, when you pull up, Ali and them was out there, he was talking about they going to try to get some stuff around in D.C. I say, we got this stuff when it was free. Not free, $25,000 for that, $30,000 for that. Okay, and we fixed it up. But now, what do they say? If you move out of D.C., you can't come back. That's a general truism, unless you hit the jackpot, right? So, to acquire the amount of property we have right now, people are crying for us, the poor people, they're gonna, that's right. Boss man is causing a lot. But we're in pocket. And we got in pocket all the stuff they do. They mess with the car, they do this, yes, they do that. And it costs a lot of money. But all in all, right, we're not doing too bad. And the other thing it shows the people that they may roll around and roll their eyes, but when the stuff starts crumbling, they already know who makes sense, right? They already go to the strongs. You know, whoever is shown strength, they go that way. The women, the children, the men, everybody, because they already know, right? They know. It don't make, you can say anything you want. Foresight, insight, they got it. That's where we're going. So therefore, what we're saying right now, that's why we want to get some of our copies of our stuff, duplicate them, and we want to get them around to start pushing the platform. The platform is backed up by declaration after declaration, forecast after forecast, prediction after prediction. All 1, 2, 3, 4, all along the way. For decades. And at each time, that forecast, that prediction was almost exact on whatever period we were in. And now we're in a different period. I don't know if everybody can feel it. We're in a different period now. Okay. And so we can't afford to take a chance on that great possible future. We have to look out for our wives, our children, our family, and all of that. Because if you ain't in pocket, hey man, you look at boss man and you look at the people going crazy and everything, and hey man, it's too late at that time. That's why we say, we notice 10% of a population that's organized and structured and armed, they can have the rest of the society revolve around them. Therefore, we're not taking any chances. We say, join the system. When I say the system, that means don't leave a stone unturned. When I say the system, it's not just the police, that's just one. If you have a preference for the FBI, the CIA, join the other. If you like diplomacy, join the State Department, right? That's the system. Because eventually, you're going to have communications with the outer world anyway. There's going to, in the diplomatic world, you're going to have people, we're going to have people out there that says, look, da-da-da-da-da. Either y'all help us out, or y'all give us a break, or, you know what I mean? And you are who you are, and they know that's who you are, right? And you have more credibility than boss man. You got to remember, this thing is shining right on us, but we have to do the right thing, the smart thing, the good thing, and there's no subterfuge. This is not no Negro plan to take over America and put the white folks in prison. This is not what it is. It's none of that. It's absolutely none of that. That's the way they're gonna look at it. They probably downtown now. That nigga think he's slick. Da, 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 da. I can imagine. Because that's what they would do. That's what they would do. And they think you're like them. Mandela wasn't like that. Jomo Kenyatta wasn't like that. This is not a bad thing. This may be a good thing, because now when we move into a position of influence and power, it'll be to do good. And that'll be for those who are at the top to manage the lower echelon, that we're here to do good for everybody. Everybody ain't gonna do that for us. The Negro do it for everybody else. That's the way he is. You can't change who the Negro is. Right? Although you say, man, y'all, why you give the South Africans and you let them keep all the stuff they stole from you? Good God Almighty. Of course, we don't go along with that. But you got to have somebody there that's going to balance everything. You know what I mean? That understands history, that understands human nature. It's absolutely necessary. You can trust boss man all you want. I don't trust him. I've been with him too long. Indians say he speak with a forked tongue. Everybody else call him the same words they use for shaitan, deceiver, deception, smoke and mirrors, right? Okay, look, everybody can do what they want because technically we're just going to keep trying to motivate people along the road that we see is the best road for humanity at the time that we're dealing with it. So, we talked about what we can do. So our focus is still within reason. I mean, our focus, like say us as a community. We talked about homelessness. Okay, that's within reason. If we don't get our $150 million or whatever we sue them for in California, we'll just do what we can. We get the same reward, right? If we want to do it, we get one reward. If we start actually doing it, it could be 2 rewards to 10,000. Who knows? There's so many. You know what I mean? And for me, 1 reward is sufficient. Okay. So therefore, this homelessness move is within our reach of what we can do. It's reasonable. Black universities, black colleges, to package this message at this time is also within our range of activity, which we will do. DC will go through our regular period of revival to revive what we're doing around here, to polish and paint everything up and get rid of all the old cars that the white man just turned the knob and stopped them, but we're going to get rid of them anyway. You know. Oakland, the same thing. Oakland, when I say Oakland, we're not limiting ourselves, but you can think faster than you can work. You know what I mean? In other words, you can dream faster too. All the other stuff we're talking about and we've talked about, if the world gets with us, we can, we could do that too. We can have boats going out a mile from shore, cleaning up the stuff. We can have them going out. Okay, but right now, the example of homelessness, we can do that. That's within our, Black universities, high schools, colleges, they'll think we're a recruiter for the army or somebody when you wait till we get around. Join up. We ain't gonna tell them carry the flag, but they will anyway if they join up, right? When you look at it, that's the only thing, that's the only choice we could make under this, what we're under now. There's no other. I challenge anybody, come up with a choice for where we are now, for where the world is, right, for how things are flowing. What is your solution? Because somebody's going to ask those questions when they go around. They'll spike the crowd with some, and I'm just going to say, great. Would you ask that again? Now, what did you ask? And I'm going to give them the statistics. And I might have a few old lectures. Yeah, that's the way we looked at it now. Right now, who's going to protect your wife? Who's going to protect your children? Who's going to protect your old people? The old people is dying like flies. All this stuff, I don't know why they hooked it up like this, but they leaving too fast. You know what I mean? It's not comfortable. Okay. I don't want to be melodramatic, but if you've never been in the back room with the white man, I would say you don't know him if he just went to school. You got to been in the back room with him when there ain't nobody there but him, you and him. I mean, him and his crew, all of them, and you. And the way he looks and the way he talks and his attitude. Okay, everybody can get their degree and it says on there you're a good American citizen and you got such and such. What we're saying now is we have to do what we have to do to protect ourselves. We got to get up so close to him that he can't hit us, right? On everything, forest rangers, whatever you like, doctors, lawyers, get in there. And we're going to be recruiting kids in the little penitentiaries. Get yourself education, get yourself a degree. Right? Get in there. And get in there in a hurry. Because a year is a short time. 5 years, we talk about 5 years and 10 years. That Pop said, that'll be around in a minute. Huh? Don, and just imagine, he actually was just, didn't that just pop? Don was in there, Don was gone, and Don is still a troublemaker. What we don't have to be super believers. We could just read the newspaper, right? You could watch television news. It's so clear that white folks are saying it. Okay, I'm going to try to speed up. And Thucydides' trap, it's already there. And you got to remember, too, when you the big bad boss man, a lot of people scared of you. But when you start going down, your friends and allies, they start backing up on you. So they may push Canada around today, but in 5 years, Canada be, hey man, you got to fall on your own. I ain't with you on that. I ain't going down with you. I just listened to you because I had to. The British, the French, the Germans, which don't trust them at all. You study international politics, you see. They created the union over there, whatever it is, European Union, to protect themselves against America, right? And they may hold hum, but when boss man collapse, you think they're gonna come and say, hey man, here's a rope? No, they gonna go join everybody else. We was there all the time. We was with you, right? It's cold-blooded. And boss man gonna be, and the American people gonna say, those guys, there's 15 or 20 of them up there. You can go and have them, right? All of that, anyway, let me speed up a little bit. So there's a time element. Then there's the realistic element of how the things are on earth. The earth, the trees, the water cycles, all of that. They didn't have all the other empires didn't have the global ability to do all of those things, and now they do. Okay. So Trump's job was to dismantle America piece by piece. He's done it. Okay. Uh, a lot of the stuff will just well, there are some things that here are very important. Old famous white man said, "Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Anybody know who that was? Benjamin Franklin. He was America's first millionaire. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
I gotta work on my bedtime routine. That's one of the things they always say, you know. I'm familiar with that viewpoint about not just waking up for Fajr, but you stay up for Fajr, and then, you know, you start your day from there. But one of the things I've been kind of focusing on more recently is my bedtime routine and just winding down to make sure I go to bed on time and stuff.
No, we're doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing, and
I'm trying to.
no. Personally, I'm not worried about it because I know once you start thinking about it, when you get older, I almost just take it easy on into it, and it happens. It ain't like before. Early to bed, you got an early rise, and I wrote it. I still write it on everything. I had to get up in the morning. Sometimes I lay there, I say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, I lay back down. I say, I'll do it later. I'm not getting the habit of doing it, but I'm getting in the habit. I'm doing more now of staying up. So that means within a month or 2 weeks or whatever, I'll just stay up at Fajr. Why? Because that's when you do your best writing and your best thinking is early in the morning. I've always been going through it, and now this is the time for writing. See, the old As-Sabiquns, they still make sense, but we need several As-Sabiquns, the new ones, for now. Okay, we're keeping the notes for them, but we have to write them. They have to be edited, and they have to be printed, right? Because the things that we're talking about now, we haven't had, the last As-Sabiqun was 9 years ago, 2012. And so we haven't had any since then. We haven't wanted to do any of those, but we still have all the writings and all the notes. So basically, if we go back to California, after the Eid al-Adha, the period that we're doing now to then will be organizational period, and all the stuff we're talking about, that's what we'll be doing. And all the little stuff like cutting this and doing stuff, I can feel the time is getting better because I'm doing work, regular work. Like it's a time, Allah helps you. I don't want to work right now. Therefore, I ain't gonna work. I just talk. But you can't talk forever. And then just at the right time, you start easing into it. That's the thing about old age or aging. Know yourself, know your enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Strategic management under conditions of repression. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Science fiction management. Does anybody remember hearing that? Okay, that's what we're in now. Science fiction management. That means we had an idea that we was headed right here 20 years ago. But if they wasn't listening to us with what we was talking about then, imagine if we talked about this then. They'd have had us over at St. Elizabeth. Right? I mean, if people couldn't pick up regular Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare, which is clear what has been going on, then, okay, how was they going to get up with science? Man, the white man doing this, and he pushing this button, and da, 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 da. Right? They would. You'd be able to St. Elizabeth. Till now, they said, oh, maybe he was right, you know. Strategic management under conditions of repression. Every last article we ever wrote on that was spot on, in time, and on time. And now we don't even have to call it science fiction management. We could call it up-to-date general management. Management for Negroes, modern management for colored people. Something like that, right? Or modern management for humanity. Explain next steps in writing. That means talking about it is one thing, but when you put it on paper, it has a serious permanent. I think writing it down in an organized way is even more powerful than speech sometime. Because, okay, for people who can read and act on it, that's one thing. Some people are motivated more by speeches. But in the past, before this recording of speeches, it was a written word that would go a long way. And there's still an element of that, the written word. But don't worry, we're doing them both. We ain't going to take no chances. We speak, see it. Okay, continuous tragedies because this is not arrogance, because of ignoring Musa. If you ignore long enough, you become ignorant. That's what we ignore. You ignore this, you ignore that. So now you've become ignorant. This is just making fun of the boss man. Boss man, the ones that's running it, has to be considered ignorant. And over there they call him Mustakbirun, arrogant and jahil. They say he's ignorant and arrogant. That's a deadly combination, right? But that's what we're seeing. We're witnessing ignorance and arrogance. There's no way around it. Okay. Blame game, destroy automobiles. All that stuff that you see boss man doing, it doesn't really even count too much. Messing with cars. Then I sell the car for $100 and it runs for 20 years to whoever buys it. It's okay, it's no problem. Right? It's unbelievable what they do. Hey, man, it's, you know, I look at it like this. For what we're doing, I could be booted out. The white man could have pulled the trigger a long time ago. Maybe it's some of the coonology, boss man, you wouldn't hurt the brother just playing, you know. I mean, you don't hear it, but he hears, I know what I'm telling him. Oh, boss man, shoot, I'm just playing. You know, niggas don't know nothing. Right? You just go over this. How could a nigga come up with that? You know niggas. How? Somebody told it. Nigga don't even know what he's saying. He's talking that and he don't even understand it. It's like a white boy. No, a very rich Arab. We was in, what's them clubs they have, speaking clubs? JC's. In prison they have them, JCs. No, they have JCs, you know, that you join it and you give speeches and teach you how to speak in it. Yeah, Toastmasters is one. JC Toastmasters, yeah, it's Toastmasters. So I joined Toastmasters, and one of the rich Arab brother, I helped him do time. I taught him lifting weights and stuff. He was a Christian Arab though. Might as well call him a white Christian Arab because he was more European. He was, anyway, so we joined Toastmasters, and the way I used to put stuff together, he said, they don't even believe, the stuff. He said, they think someone is teaching you that. They probably think I'm teaching you how to do this. I'm not as good a speaker as you, but they feel that I'm coaching you or somebody, because you know what I mean. They don't, these are all educated white boys. I'm the only black in Toastmasters, and I'm wearing them out. And I could figure up stuff just like that. Because you got to talk about unity and brotherhood. Brotherhood, take a hood. A hood is a protection. A car got a hood. A head got a hood, and brotherhood is a protection against it. And they said, this nigga, he's making that stuff up. Who's teaching him that stuff? You know what I mean? But it's just having fun with white folks. It's just like, I don't have to train to speak. I give khutbah every week, you know what I mean? And have 2 programs. Anyway, so this stuff is serious. We have to calm boss man down, because if boss man get mad, that longevity talk, boss man don't lose no sleep about, well, goodbye, nigga. You know what I mean? He don't lose no sleep. So either you got to scare him or just rub him to sleep. Scare him. You do something to me, boss man. You better, look what's happened here. Look what's happened there. You do something to me, boss man. See what happens. You got to do either that, or boss man, or in combination, or interchangeable. You got to remember, in the long run, Shaitan don't have a whole lot of sense. He has a nature that makes him look like he's all wise. All he's doing is playing off your weaknesses. The hadith say about girls and stuff like that. So the shaitan know that, so he just, all the spies, all this, that, what is, girls, girls, girls. Right? Because it's a normal human weakness. It ain't. And they talk about, this guy's a low down, dirty pimp. Look what the government do with girls. They have niggas and girls getting married back and forth, all kind of dumb stuff. Right here in front of your face. And they all polices. Just think, they volunteer, the police tell you get married, you marry her, you marry him. And they have children or do everything. That don't mean they stay together. Because when boss man tell, okay, you separate over here, they move, go over there, they do all that for boss man. Boss man tell them what to do. Boss man or the shaitan or whoever it is. Okay, this is moving toward a close. I was going to ask some questions about the people of the past. Abdul Malik, them people down at my house, all of them. But I'm only going to interject them into these stories, Hashim, Alauddin, and all of them. Not as little as possible, but just to get enough to get the job done. So if I mention Abdul Malik and Hashim Alauddin, I'll say one was on one side, one was on the other. They were both pretending This one's pretending to be Shia, this one's pretending to be Sunni, and they pretending they don't like each other, and I'm in the middle. And they're stupid enough to think that they can tell me this one, and and this one tell me that one. And I'm in the middle. They're going to manipulate me. They tell me this. And they did that. They're on the same team. In Oakland right now, they're having wonderful programs together. It's pitiful. It's pitiful. 20 years ago, one's on one side, one's on the other. But the thing that's deadly about it is if you take people like Hashim Alauddin and Abdul Malik, them people are dangerous. Poor Malcolm, you know, Malcolm's grandson, that guy didn't have, I could see it coming because they had did you ever see a magazine with Malcolm in it? When he might have still been in prison. They was taking pictures of him. He had Nation of Islam ring and all that. Yeah. You could tell what they're going to get ready to do to him. But he come here, and he didn't get here on time, and he was coming to big programs, and he'd bring a little girl with him, or he'd give a program down in Dixie, and he would stay with the same people I was staying with. They said, man, this guy don't have no Islam, but they was using him, and then they kill him for no reason. He ain't no harm to nobody. Those are nasty people. And they would have did the same to me, easy. If I didn't name them and frame them on all of this, you know, those people are hey man. All I say is look what they did to other people. If they could have run me crazy, them people, they would have ran me crazy. They would have spread doubt because all of them are saying this about you. And are you going to believe them? Hell no, I don't believe them. Because I knew where they was when they got there. I could see them in 87 when they got there. I could see, you know. But Malcolm couldn't, there was no sense of doing, you know what they said? They said down in Mexico they beat him to death with a baseball bat, something like that. What is it? You know what I mean? He's not even a danger to anybody.
Then they swear him because he's supposed to be at a bar.
Try the bar.
He ain't paid the tab, so because he ain't paid the tab, take him out.
You think, look, how did he get down there? Who sent him down there? Hashim Nim sent him down there. Hashim Nim was involved in all that. And down in Mexico, if you don't pay a tab, they got all kind of, they'll call the hotel and keep all your clothes or do anything, you know what they can. They all Mexicans. I lived in Mexico. They don't beat you to death with a baseball bat because you didn't pay a tab at a bar. They're not going to let you get in Mexico. They're not going to let you get, after you get over $4 or $5, they're going to say, hey, you got to pay up. They're not going to let you get $500 or $1,000. What is a tab, right? I don't believe that stuff. Them niggas are liars. They're liars and they're murderers. They are classical murderers. I could see when the brother was coming around here, when we had the program over, and he was popping around. I said, man, it was just, that wasn't fair. That they got him out, when he come out of prison, they done puffed him all up, and he don't know anything about what's going on out here. And his nafs, he just got out of prison, he gonna like little girls. And he gonna use a name, Malcolm, to get and they gonna put them little girls on him. It just wasn't even, it was unnecessary and it wasn't fair, you know. It was unnecessary to use your power to get rid of someone that didn't even need to be, just leave him alone, drop him. but don't kill him. It was one of the Negroes, I'll close in a minute. One of the Negroes that I used to travel with. Can you look up Dr. John Branyan? Dr. John Branyan. Did you ever look him up before?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. John Branyan. He was a big Negro. Anyway, from way back, Johnson Publications, they all was friends. And Doc had, I know the white man lied on him, although he did come over when we was in East Africa. A young cutie pie came over and spent time with him, and he was saying that I didn't kill my wife, and he had a long scenario. I said, Doc, now this is in those days. I said, Doc, niggas don't kill another. I said, you could just run off and leave her. Or, you know. I said, niggas beat women upside the head. That's when people used to beat their wives and all that. I said, you can beat them upside the head or run off or do something. I said, but why would you kill I said, why kill your wife? Just to get a younger woman. I don't have no younger. I said, well, the lady came visit you here. And brought you all that money. It wasn't your wife, wasn't your new girlfriend with that long, semi-straight hair. High yellow looking lady. He was high yellow too. Anyway. And I said, Doc, I bet you married a black woman. Was your wife a darky? I bet she was an old darky, poor child. I bet she was. But the point I was making was, like Malcolm, you don't kill people because you don't like them anymore. You just run off or you do something, you know what I mean? No matter how scandalous it is, to do your wife like that, you don't kill her. You kill her, she's dead. You can't bring them back alive, right? And Doc giving us that old, I said, Doc, that sounds like a damn something, a mystery novel the white folks do. This happened, I said, nobody. I said, Doc, you think niggas, I said, there's not one Panther nigga that you talking to believe that story that you're telling. I forgot what it was, but it wasn't a colored story. It was a white. I said, Doc, you've been around them folks so long, you starting to act like them. Good God Almighty. And then tell a nigga, and a nigga know better that ain't what happened. I said, you must think we stupid, Doc, because we don't have a PhD. Is that right? Right.
Then there's Unsolved Mysteries. There's some footage of it. That's talking about the case. They said, then it says, John Brain recently freed and wife slain. That was September 14th, 1990.
1990? Okay, yeah. Yep. Well, the last picture Doc, you remember Idi Amin was having trouble with doctors? You remember in that movie, The King of Scotland or something? Doc, he moved next door to Uganda, and he was Idi Amin's doctor for a while. Does it say that in the thing?
Well, I didn't read it.
No, he was Idi Amin's doctor for a while, and finally he came on back to America. The point I was making was the story Doc told us is the same story that could have been Malcolm or anybody. Nobody, it wasn't right to do that stuff to, no matter how much authority we get, we're not going to do nobody like that. Okay, follow the law scrupulously. No bad nia. This is my own stuff right here. No surreptitious scheme or plan. This is not a scheme. It's not a surreptitious. It's exactly the way we say it. That's what it is. Okay, so I'll just close with that, inshallah. And I'll just say that we got a lot of work to do, just the work we got to do. Not only with the homeless, not only rebuilding community, around here, but all the things that we have on our plate. This one in the middle about educating our people to join the system for a reason, for a big reason, for a good reason. No surreptitious. It's the same thing Boss Man been trying to get niggas to do, join the system. Right? Okay. That's the only place where they're going to get any. Things don't look good otherwise. But anyway, it's all right.
His intention has been more surreptitious than yours.
Of course it has. The shooters are, hey, you know what? I couldn't be boss man. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. No. It ain't worth it. It ain't. But he does it happily. He does it without no stress or nothing. He don't sweat it. He don't look before the mirror with a sweat on him. Say you've been a bad boy, and he don't do that. He just say it's not enough. You got to get tougher. You got to get meaner. If you don't, them niggas gonna get you. And he tell himself whatever he had to tell. The Mexicans gonna, the Cambodians gonna get you. Everybody, they all out to get you. Okay. Aqul kali hada wa astaghfirullah li wa lakum. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, right. Well, no, that's true. It's, yep, that's just, it makes sense. There's a time element too. We don't have time to do anything, right? And then the acceleration of time. And maybe that's what it was meant to be, because before we always talked about longevity. Take your time. I'm going to live to be 100. And I still feel the same. I mean, if I leave tomorrow, it's okay. No problem. No problem. But in this case now, longevity is not the goal. It's getting things in place. We're not saying in a hurry, because see, 10 years is a long time now. Now, with artificial intelligence, we got to get into some type of position, because this guy, he'll mess everything up here and he'll go on about his business somewhere else. if he can, you know. Yeah, he'll do it. Easy, with no, and remember, all them people either going out on them rockets are millionaires, and anybody that's building them is also millionaires and billionaires.
The whole Mars landing project, that's Musk's project, you know, it's one of those more celebrity billionaire types. That's his project to basically die on Mars. So he tried to get us out of here, long story short, him and all the people that are funding these rockets. They're privatizing the rocket industry.
Yeah, can you imagine? It's now not the government, but private. Columbus and them was all private. Well, they borrowed.
Okay, I missed that. I know it's primarily was Elon Musk, and it was this other guy too. I can't remember his name that was really pushing the push to Mars is what it is.
Elon Musk, Bezos, not Bezos, something.
It is Bezos, but there's another guy.
Why are all those people up to the same thing? All those trillionaires. Hey, man, we better. Now they make me believe in communism. Grab them, put them in jail, take all their money. That's okay. There's just a few of them, right? Imagine you'd put 5 people in the penitentiary for life. Well, a nice penitentiary, you know, where they can a little swimming pool and stuff. But you take the rest of their money and put them where they can't harm nobody. That means all of us could live. Can you imagine if you put 5 or 10 people in the penitentiary, the whole rest of the world can live very comfortable for that day, man. This is a big, hey man, it's real, but it don't seem like that couldn't be real, but it is. So that's why we're not in a hurry, but in a way, see everything. No matter what happened, when you get big money, no matter what happened, you still get big money. Like if the world go broke, they'll get to buy up the rest of the world for $50 or $60. In other words, when everything collapses, so for the big rich, they waiting for a collapse. Because they'll buy up everything for pennies. Right? Okay. So anyway, we got to get big in a hurry. And don't worry, somebody will figure out some kind of way to deal with them. Inshallah. Okay, and there's no more questions or comments?
There was another one. Just want to put a little bit all over the place. Give me a second here. Bear with me. Bismillah, Rahman Rahim. Bismillah, all the way down. El-Islam is not a black thing. We who now reclaim our very own must not be confused with the majority of our people who will never accept Allah in place of their white godfather. We are now living inside the beginning of the days of Allah. It is a hadith of Allah that parts cannot comprehend the whole. It is the whole part comprehends all the parts. Allah is the creator, all over-creator, the host, and we as individual human beings who come and go are created as guests in His creation. Just as we are the guests of Allah in His creation, likewise Allah has declared us as the crown in all of His creation, the host of the knowledge of His creation, and there are no vacuums allowed in creation. This is why the hadith says we are the host and knowledge is our guest, and knowing is superior to learning, and being is superior to knowing. On our national flag in the nation of Islam is the moon, symbolized in the first quarter, representing the future tense in time, just as the last quarter of the moon symbolizes the past tense. I'm almost done. What does the full moon symbolize? That the brightest moonlight is in the exact middle of the lunar month, symbolizing that the present tense of time is greater than the past or future tense of time. Allahu Akbar. Brothers and sisters, symbolically, the sun rises and the sun sets, and the brightest light of the sun is at high noon, and our sunlight of El-Islam is now headed for high noon,
Is that Bilal the,
But wait, I can get his full name here. Just give me a second. I gotta go back and pull that up. But yeah, that was.
okay, is this stuff still on?
Yeah, it's still on.
Okay, you could turn it off.